Nope, that's it. Hi, if we want to get the whole thing in the shot. Hi, everybody. Adam Savage here in my cave, and this is, I think, the third video about this object, the St. Edward's crown. The coronation crown for the British monarchy. We just watched Charles III, King Charles III, don this very object to be proclaimed king of the Commonwealth, of all the things that he is king of. I am American and I don't know the list. I apologize. This crown, so I'm shooting this video today to cover my process. I think I've tested my thoughts on what this channel is about. Shifts and changes, but within a bandwidth of making. I have long considered it a compendium of videos and stories about making and about the maker process, but really what we're talking about is creativity in general and specifically, because it's all part of the same process. So let me talk really generally to that for a minute, and then I'm going to talk about how there's no project in my life that I'm ever truly done with. So when we say creative process, I really want to get into a definition here because I think there are still lots of ways in which many people exclude themselves from being able to explore the creative process because they think that there's some threshold to entry, i.e., well, I can't really get creative with drawing because I'm terrible at drawing. I can't really get creative with writing because I'm terrible at writing. I can't really get creative with carpentry because I'm terrible at carpentry. Those two statements don't really have anything to do with each other. The quality of one's execution is not necessarily at all equated to the quality of one's experience. And so let us say this. I am someone who has spent a lot of time in both an artist's frame and a scientist and an engineer's frame. And after spending a lot of time in both, I find them quite similar. With some, big differences in terms of the final output, but a lot of the starting conditions are very similar. I think I'm being so abstract, I'm not actually making a point. When we say creativity, I hear point of view. If you look at someone's painting and they painted trees in a really fascinating way that's not like normal trees, but you know what they're referring to, you're seeing a creative execution of something. Moreover, the person who painted that has an idea about trees and they are attempting to work it out by painting it there. You are receiving that interpretation of trees and doing your own interpretation of those. This is how points of view work. Each of us, in the bubble of our sentience, in the non-local universes that we create around each of ourselves, are an engine of doing. And in that doing, we occasionally have a genuine point of view on how to do something because of stuff we've learned in the past. I wish I had more structure to this. I apologize about this because it is literally my favorite conversation. And I'm sort of bouncing around this I have this feeling that if I get this right, I kind of land the point that I want to make. But let me just say some things that aren't necessarily connected. Hopefully they'll get connected. The documentary Get Back, Peter Jackson's 8-hour documentary about the Beatles recording Let It Be, is one of the loveliest depictions of creativity I have seen. Watching those four very different creators overlap their varying amounts of crazy and brilliance to make an album is astonishing. I've watched it 2.5 times. But there's a moment in it when George Harrison, when they're talking about the album and they're talking about what goes on the album, what songs will be included in the album, George says emphatically, now I need to watch it again so I get this quote right. We don't know what the album is going to be. We won't know what it is until it tells us what it wants to be. And so this is a key thing about the creative process is there's a moment when you're having this is the thing is like when I am executing something, I'm beginning with a conversation that's in my head. I'm like, let me take all the keys I own and put them into a single box and see what happens. This happened 25 years ago, 35 years ago. What happens if I take all my keys and put them in the same box? Oh, okay, well, they're going to have to go on hooks. Okay, buy a bunch of different hooks. Okay, I'm going to make a box. I'm going to make the box look old. Each step I knew, okay, I think this box should be really old. How old? Well, I'm going to burn the outside and wire brush it so the grain stands out and it looks really old. I'm going to wax it. I'm going to burn it again. I'm going to wax it again. I'm going to paint it with literally 100 coats of paint. So I'm having this conversation with myself about how these keys should be in a box and how this box should look. And then there's a point where that conversation stops happening between me and myself. Sorry about that. Then there's a moment in which that conversation stops happening between me and myself and starts happening between me and the thing. And when that happens, in that space is all of my experience of magic. Yeah, it's that. In that space is all of my experience of magic, of things I can't explain. I have made sculptures that are now 40 years old that still teach me about my aesthetics, and they change. They still change over time. Okay, thank you for the 7-minute intro into creativity. Let's talk about the St. Edward's crown, because I built it a few years ago after watching a lot of The Crown. Oh, we're missing a thing. Oh, okay. Anyway, I made this a few years ago after watching the Crown, the show, which is amazing, especially the first 4 seasons. The latter seasons are fine. Imelda Staunton is fine. Everyone in the cast is just great, but the first 2 seasons are incendiarily amazing. Incendiarily? Is that really a word I should use there? The first 2 seasons are my favorite part of the story. The young queen learning her job, all of that stuff. But so I was watching it and I was thinking about, both the majesty and beauty of the British crown and the monarchy and the horror and the death and the blood that it represents, right? All of this. There's no difference between that and the American government. And I made this once, and then I realized I wasn't satisfied with it. And so I immediately made it again. We did both videos on the channel. And this object has been sitting either here in the cave or over at the tested offices or in my house. I move it around occasionally. I wore it for Halloween a couple of years ago. It was amazing. Well, because I have lived, maybe you don't know, but like when you wear this costume, already you're adding like 18 inches to your height. And then I added another 5 with some big fat lifts on these shoes that I have that are spectacular. And so I dove all the way into this crown, even to being able to see in the pictures of the real one that the jewels are in fact bolted on. You can see little nuts and bolts on the real crown if you look carefully. Hilariously, there's no pictures of the side of the crown. The royal family has a kind of spectacular lock in England on pictures of the royal family and its accoutrements. And so things can go up in the newspaper, but then the royal family can be like, that picture's never going to get seen again. And they can pull them out of circulation. And what that practically means is that of the crown jewels, there are no shots of the side of the St. Edward's crown. Just none. They've made sure. It feels like someone has made sure of that. There are no shots of the back of the backside of the royal scepter. If you know of any pictures that show exactly how thick this cross is, I'd love to see them. And if you know of any pictures of the back of the scepter, boy, I would love to see them. And you can't take a camera to the Tower of London. You're just going upstairs and there they are. You gotta go past, you gotta remember stuff. Anyway, all of this talk about creativity was a preamble to say that like these things never leave my head. When I dive all the way into a system, and this is a system, and I unpack that system, that unpacking feels really good. I mean, there's a moment in this when it was just a sheet of aluminum with 4 stalks and a layout of all the jewels on it. That latticing of that structure into my brain, it's why I do all of this stuff. And once I've latticed a concept or a thing, it never really leaves. So about a year ago, a artist reached out to me and said, you said you're looking for design artists. I'd love to draw something for you in collaboration. And I said, I'd love to draw the St. Edward's crown. And I want to make a crown that we can release as a 3D print. And he said, that sounds great. He started drawing. It's been a lovely back and forth. Including, his name is Daniel Lilligreen, and Daniel started, we talked about the structure. I sent him all my drawings. He watched the 2 videos, so he understood the structure. And then he started finding really great reference material and looking in and saying things like, hey, I noticed that that this lobe of the cross arms is a different shape than the other lobe. In fact, he's noticing as he's going through that very little of this crown is truly bilaterally symmetrical. Do I want that to be reflected in the drawing? And I'm like, absolutely, I want that reflected in the drawing. That's spectacular stuff. And so after months and months, not a complaint at all. These things take time. After a bunch of back and forth, Daniel sent me the files just a couple weeks ago. The first pass at the final files for the St. Edward's crown. And I started printing it up immediately. Now, this video is about how 3D printing is integrating into my creative process. So I got these files from Daniel, very excited. I immediately started printing them up. And I was playing around with 3 different gold filaments. This is just a gold color, but this is gold silky, and this is silky gold. There are 3 different brands. And I started assembling this, and I started looking at this, and I'm like, I can't see this. What does that mean exactly? I can't see this object for what it is because the shininess and the translucency take up enough of my visual field where it doesn't cohere. Okay, I wish I had a better way of explicating this, but I think I can only show it to you in contrast. There's this whole part of the creative process, which is about trying to see the thing. Is it clear? Can you see it clearly? Is there anything about the thing that's taking your attention away from seeing it clearly? That is one of the most common questions I am having with myself as I'm making something. Can I see what it is? Does it tell me its story? And so I look at this and it doesn't tell me its story. So regular watchers of this space know that I've been experimenting with 3D printing now for a couple of years. Look, I built one of the very first MakerBots 20 years ago. 3D printing is, and I commissioned some stereolithography toy parts back in 2000. Yeah, just 25 years I've been in this space. But in the last couple of years, I've really dived in with some carbon printers, some Anycubics, and some other wonderful magic. And in that time, I have been steadily buying and trying out different kinds of filaments. And I have yet, at this point in time, to find a filament that I love, when we visit our friends at FBFX in England, their main controls guy prints everything he prints in a bright orange. And I love that kind of thing. I love that when someone does that, like if it's this color, you know it's that person. And so I've been slowly like downloading. I'm just like buying and printing with certain filaments. I was hoping one of these golds might be a filament that I could really taste aesthetically. And then I found this muted red. I found this muted red color that I really, really like. And I printed the crown in the muted red color. And look at this. Look at this beautiful object. Okay, so just to talk about being able to see it clearly. Can you see how the shine on this makes this curve at the front less visible to your eye about what's actually happening topologically than the clarity of it over here? This is like all the shininess on the top of this cross here. All the shininess on the top of this cross. Look here how it's sort of inhibited. Yes, it's providing some interesting topographical details, right? It's highlighting some of the structure as it shines, but it also, for me, aesthetically, like I can't see this as well as I can see this. And so this here, right here, to me represents a kind of a sea change in my relationship to 3D printing, because for the first time in 25 years of playing with 3D printers, I have printed an object that feels like it is separate from the 3D printing process. That might not make sense as a sentence temporally, but it makes sense to me creatively. This is an object. This weird sort of semi-coral, orange, red. This is called a muted red. Oh, I already loaded it into the 3D printer. We'll include a link to this in the description. But like, that's an object. This right here, all of a sudden feels like it's telling me what it wants to be. Now, this is Daniel's first pass. He's finished all of the many, many tiny parts of this build. And 17 minutes I've been giving you just for the opening. I'm about to make a set of notes for how to change this drawing, these drawings, because I have some little notes. And I have all of the notes I have are little tiny things that will make the 3D printing process a little easier, and also make the object itself print better, look better, assemble better. That's it. And so this, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. The main structure is really straightforward. There's a base band, there's a fleur and cross band that sits in the base band. There's the main band, and then there's the fleur-de-lis band. And then there's these two bands, which we call the cross bands because they create a cross. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. The main structure is just 4 pieces, but the jewels on them, you've got your 1 through 9. There's 9 different types of jewels around the perimeter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's 16. There are 16 jewels around the base band of 9 different types. Then there are 5 jewels on each cross, 5 jewels on each fleur-de-lis. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And those are of A, B, C, D. Then E, F, G, H are 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 jewels on each of these cross bands. 16 plus 4 times 5, that's 34, plus 24, 58, 58, plus 78 jewel settings across this thing. And in each setting can be as many as 6 to 9 jewels. Yeah. So a lot of parts. And I eventually, of course, want to gold leaf this or have it vacuum metallized and then put jewels in it. Of course, I want to put jewels in it. So what I'm about to do now is a part of my process that I do a lot on things, which is I will take what I currently have about a project and I'll lay it all out. So that I can see it all. So here we have the major jewel categories here. We've got the orb cross jewels here. We've got the fleur-de-lis jewels here. We've got the band cross band jewels here, and then we've got the base band jewels here. And I am going through them, and I'm also what I want to end up with is it's not like every jewel set is different. Like some of them go in multiple locations. So for instance, around the perimeter here, front dead center is jewel set number 7. And here we have them in order: 7, 6, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 9, 3, 8, 7, 3, 6, 4. So when one receives all these files, one needs to know how many of each thing to print. That is the document I'm currently working on at the same time as I'm working on a set of notes to give Daniel for the next iteration of printing this. In the end, I definitely am going to send a few of these to be vacuum metallized. That is, to be sputter coated. That will be the highest gloss and most beautiful way to execute these guys. But that's like kind of weeks and weeks away. There's going to be the assembly of probably 2 or 3 models before I get there. So I have some notes. I have some sketches. And, oh, right. Yeah. There's, wait, where's that last little doohickey? There you go. There's the cross. Also, I want to point out, that like, my crown here, actually I can lay this. 3 pounds. 3 pounds this weighs. And the real thing, the real thing is like 5 pounds. I know that the one in the show Hamilton also weighs like 3 pounds. Once you add all these jewels, man, the weight gets fast and the weight adds up quickly. But so let me just weigh this for a second. I'm kind of hoping like one of the Hamilton prop masters is watching this. This is 1 pound. 1 pound in total for this. So there's a possibility if I had this vandalized and used plastic jewels. Oh, plastic jewels, right! Position 1. We printed up a plastic jewel. On the Form 4 resin printer. And the other thing I want to do today is try backing that with a little aluminum foil and see if I can't get it reflective, see if I can't hit it with a clear coat, see if I couldn't potentially 3D print all the jewels for this crown. That would be really, really neat. You could make the whole thing for like $5 in plastic. Like I said, lots of moving parts to this space. All right, I also have 4.8 millimeter. Oh, it doesn't say. I've got some flat back rhinestones with a reflective back, and all of these holes are correctly sized to the originals, which means that they're all different sizes. And so among the things that I want to list here is not only the part's name and where it goes, but how many of each kind of rhinestone and regular jewel set you might need in order to populate this. Why spend so much time on something? It's not like I need more crowns, but I I want other people to have crowns. And as I think about their experience, I want them to be able to make them right. I don't understand it any better than you do. Right, I have some notes. It's worth talking about where I am in this project right now. So what I've got is for the main base band here, I've got all 9 gem cluster types with their various sizes of round and oval gemstones. The good news is that most of these gemstones here are round in 3, 4, 5, or 6 millimeter rounds. And these holders have been specifically made for pointy back, not flat back. Whereas on the fleur-de-lis, these little gem clusters are all made for flat back. And flat back are easy to buy cheaply in multi-millimeter settings. But then there's some of the square stuff. And I'm trying to work that out. I was able to find some 14 millimeter square. I'm sorry I keep up in the camera. I was finding some 14 millimeter jeweled squares for that one. Some of these are a little bit tougher and I'll have to kind of go specifically looking. I'm also considering having this vacuum metallized, which would, I think I said that in the last take, would add almost no weight to it. And it would be a shiny, shiny gold. That would be really spectacular. So, I am very close to being able to make a nice, complete listing of everything that goes into this kit, right? For the number 1 position, you want 2 of them. For the number 3 position, you want 3 of those number 3s. For the number 7s, you need 2. For the number 8s, you need 1. All this will be posted. We'll put up some pictures of these so you guys can see them. And also, we're going to release the files once I'm really happy with them. But right now, it's time for me to make up my final notes for Daniel. By the way, Daniel Lilligreen says absolutely use his name in this. He is Lilykill, LILYKILL1 at Instagram. He's Lilykill1 on X. He's Lilykill on Facebook and also Lilykill1 on Threads. So here we go. Okay. I think that's everything. I think I've answered all the stuff. Oh, right. No, I want one more thing. For simplicity's sake, I don't think everyone who prints this is going to want every last detail to be correct. You don't need 5 different sizes of round gemstones. So, actually, I was thinking about asking Daniel to draw some jewels, but I don't think we really need to do that because I think that, oh, that broke off too. I think that one can just choose. Like the jewels here, these are easy to fill with 5 and 6 millimeter pointy backs. And since these are the most repeated on the cross stalks, you don't need to shift those. You just need to find one good stone for that, and you repeat that. You don't need the H and the G. You can just use one or the other. Anyway, this is now the second pass. This will be the second pass. I'm just about to send all these notes to Daniel. He'll take probably a few weeks to get back to me. I don't mean that in any kind of derogatory way. These projects happen nice and slowly. Yeah, it's just, at our pace, we all doing other stuff. But, in the interim, we get stuff like this. It's really exciting. I want to find I'm reaching out to some vacuum metallizing places to see about getting that thing sputter coated. Yeah. Look, I don't know what I'm doing in this space. I don't know why I'm making more of this, except that it makes me happy to think of making these available to other people. That's one thing. Number two, in the execution of this, I have found an object that compels me within this thing, and it's beautiful. And there's something about making it super lightweight and 3D printing all the jewels that also pleases me. And I'm not positive to what end. But I thought it would be interesting to wheel you into this more intellectualized part of my process, because this is a piece, and this is part of every build includes this process of the sort of recapitulation. Part of why I build is because I love putting objects in my brain, and once they're in my brain, once I have them fully in my brain, it's very easy for me to make them extant in the world. And I like that. I like that process. I seek it out. So this is also part of me sort of layering in. Like Daniel's been drawing this thing for months. This sits in his head rent free. I'm looking for the same kind of deal, and it's getting there. It's getting there. I'm making some simplicity compromises for, purchasable gems that you can get. But yeah, this wasn't a huge video. I just thought you should see this part of the process. And here's the current set of results. Here are the again the main 9 stones that ring the headband. Here are the fleur-de-lis flat back little arrangements and some of the cross and fleur-de-lis gemstone housings, and then we've got the cross band and cross bands. I know, cross bands. We've got all these here, and I love me some lists. Lists make me so happy. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you next time.